screen. Really good. All right.
Is this the new board?
Yeah. All right. I call to order the August 14th, 2025 Coastside Design Weekly meeting at 1:30 p.m. 1:37 p.m. We are meeting at 4 Avenue on camera, third floor, Altonada, as well as via Zoom. Please rise and join me in the pledge of allegiance. You know, by United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Okay. This meeting is a limited public forum. All public comments must relate to something that is written, or sorry, that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of this agency. If a comment does not relate to the subject matter jurisdiction of this agency, we will interrupt your comment and move on to the next speaker. As presenting officer of this meeting, I will determine whether a comment does not relate to the subject matters placed within this agency's purview. We will now move on to public comment for items not on the agenda. Actually, for item not on the agenda. Okay, no, there's a couple things before that. There's a roll call. Let's do roll call. Motion Porter. Mark Tiffin. James Bennington.
Here.
Rebecca Catkin, I think she's online.
Yes.
Mark Stigmar is not here. John Stedman, not here. Julie Martinez, not here. April Bingham. Here. Okay, so that was. Our chairperson is Mark Stegmeyer is not present, so we will not be having a chairperson's report.
You sent it, didn't
He could send the chair.
Oh, he did?
Uh-huh.
So who wants to go through this? I can't. I'm just gonna go straight to new business, CRC positions. I have no new information on that. And that's pretty much all that's in the share report. I think we're okay. Public comment for items not on the agenda. Staff will note written comments which have been received. We have not received any. And will allow members of the public to speak on items not on the agenda. Members of the public who are present and have turned in speaker slips will be heard first. Does anyone need a speaker slip in the public? Followed by members of the public joining remotely. Is there anyone online?
Don't have anyone there.
Okay. We do, we have two, two people.
Yeah, but
Oh, no hands raised.
yeah, no, that's right.
And then now Ted will explain how the public can participate in today's meeting.
For those attending in person, there are speaker slips on the table by the entry door. Please fill one out and indicate which of the agenda item you are speaking on or whether you are commenting on items not on the agenda. Give the speaker slip to me. When your name is called, you will have three minutes to speak. You want 3 minutes?
Sure.
Okay. For those attending the meeting on the Zoom video conference, we will use the raise hand feature in order to organize any public comments. During the general public comment period, and for each item on the regular agenda, I will ask those members of the public who wish to comment to click on the raise hand feature to speak on the agenda item. For those joining by phone, please press *9 to indicate your desire to speak. When you hear your name called, I will prompt you to unmute your microphone and inform you that you may begin speaking. You will have 3 minutes. Please note that members of the public must wait for the prompt in connection with each agenda item before using the raise hand function. Written comments submitted in advance will be acknowledged by staff during discussion of the appropriate agenda item. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no hands, no speakers list, we will now close public comment for items not on the agenda. We will now move on to item 1. Please introduce the project and.
Project County's Design Review Ordinance Update, PLN 2025-00232. Project Planner Camille Leong, applicant County of San Mateo, file number PLN 2025-00232. Location Design Review District of unincorporated San Mateo County.
Okay, so just reading the description, staff will present the draft updated design review standards table with the goal of collecting CDRC and public feedback. Or including into the draft updated design review ordinance. Purpose of this update is to provide objective design standards that would be applicable to design review districts of the Bayside and the Coast. For application to ministerial projects such as ADU and discretionary projects in. The draft updated design review orders will be reviewed at my commissioner board of supervisory hearings, dates to be determined. And I wanted to let you guys know that I did print out the table. If anyone needs a hard copy, like make notes on it. Yeah, here. I'll put you on. Is anybody else on?
Yeah, I love that.
Okay.
Say one, two. Thank you.
1, 2, 3, 2 more. Right, so. Can we make sure everyone online, we can hear them, they can hear us? Oh, good, Rebecca, bring to. Make sure we can hear her, and she can hear us. Hey, Rebecca,
Hi, can you hear me?
can we raise her volume up? Let's see, barely.
Can you hear me now?
Hello, Rebecca?
It's
Hi.
coming from my
Is it
thing.
coming from Owl? Oh,
I don't have all.
oh, you didn't have Owl. Okay. Rebecca?
Yeah,
Uh-oh. Could barely hear you.
I can check my mic, but I wasn't sure. I don't have a place to mute or unmute myself.
It's probably on our phones.
Yeah, just change that. I think it's just only coming out of her laptop.
Yes, it is.
Huh,
Oh
There
my
you go.
God.
Thank
is
you.
that any better?
Yes.
It was alright, it was alright.
Okay, I automatically lowered my hand, but anyhow, I can hear you guys fine.
Perfect. Beverly, you there?
Wait. Okay, go.
Beverly, you there? Okay, maybe she stepped away.
Okay.
Okay, so I made a presentation, we're sharing screen, you wanna make it big on the screen? Thank you. And you can go. Next slide, I'll just give a brief presentation, just to tell you where we've been and where we're going. And the purpose of this meeting. So the ordinance update is still in draft form. The main goals of the ordinance update, of which you'll just see the design standards table, the glossary and the general guiding principles today. But the main goals of the larger ordinance are to make some changes to the design review process. It does maintain as written, it maintains the discretionary CDRC review, so that's not going away, you're still in our public hearings. Your scope remains the same. Your scope will remain the same as projects within the Mid-Coast land use project area that have a residential component.
On the Zoom, this.
Hmm,
Thank you.
there you go.
Oh, sure.
Oh, no, it's.
Oh, my God. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so we're maintaining the CDRC's discretionary review, however, the ordinance also covers the Bayside design review areas. So the Bayside review will become ministerial, where currently it is discretionary. This establishes objective standards for design review areas, so it takes the kind of arguably subjective standards that we have now. It makes them, makes an effort to make them more objective, which is in line with state laws. Because they're objective, then they're also clear in terms of how the applicant can comply with them and how the CDRC can apply them to projects. And then hopefully it'll lead to more consistent application where people can anticipate, okay, this'll probably be found to comply, or this won't comply because it's glaring that a particular standard was not met. And the types of projects that are subject to state laws where objective standards are required are like ADUs, the Senate bills, the Assembly bills, and some are applicable on the coast, some are not. As far as SB 9, SB 35, there seems to be new ones every year, but they all rely on objective design standards. This also folds in CDRC input that we've gained throughout the years, and there's another slide on that, so I'll go into more detail about that. It also folds in the standards from the community design manual. So there isn't that awkward second document where we don't know when to reference it, not. The goals of this meeting are to review each draft standard for CDRC feedback, and then staff will update the standards for review going forward with the larger ordinance. Be the planning commission, board of supervisors, and Coastside. Okay, next one. We're recording, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Next one.
Not going.
Um,
Do they have a?
You know, there's the scale. Oh, that arrow. Do you see the arrow on the left?
Yeah.
This arrow. There's an arrow right here. It's not going down. Oh, there.
There.
Okay. Oh, yeah, just hit that. Okay, good.
There. Did it go back?
It's fine. This is the way I went. Okay, so up to now, up to this point, staff's been working mostly internally on the draft ordinance. Various levels of review, county attorney review, management review. So now we are in the phase where we're bringing the design standards to the CDRC for review and also to the Bayside Design Review Committee for review next month. After, in terms of what's next, after the CDRC and the BDRC reviews, there will be the update of the ordinance per the public comment as well as from the design boards. And then it'll go to the planning commission. Prior to the planning commission, that is when the full draft ordinance will be released. So today we're really just getting to the heart of the design standards. And then prior to the planning commission meeting, there will be notice to the public via news ad and website. Also notice to the Maine Coast Planning Council, Coastal Commission. And then after planning commission recommendation, then I'll go to the board of supervisors for adoption of the Bayside and the Coastside, but the Coastside will not be effective until it is certified by the Coastal Commission. So there's still a long path in front of us.
Next.
Yeah. Okay, so in terms of the CDRC's input, which this reflects, we did a page turn back in 2022. And you can see the screenshot of how we did that. We did that by Bluebeam. I don't know, some of you guys were here, some of you guys wasn't. Some alums were here at that time. And then also this incorporates the story poll recommendation letter that you all worked on earlier this year. So, sorry, so the standards doesn't include that, but the overall draft ordinance does. There's a story poll section that will be released later.
Yeah, because that's not in.
That's not it. Yeah, okay, next. Okay, so the full ordinance, which is yet to be released, which is still like kind of internal draft stage. incorporates the page turn, the story pole requirement. Like in terms of the page turn, we also discussed the change in the how height is gonna be measured in the Mid Coast and the design review district, so it incorporates that. Which is also not in your draft today, but in terms of what is in your draft today, the standards table. Includes the 2022 page turn for the design standards. Some examples are, it allows for other styles other than the coastal craftsman, e.g. modern designs. It's very clear, it's much more clear that these are not protected. Daylight plane and facade articulation are both required instead of the option in the current regulations. It removes the limit to the area of flat roofs that was limited to like something like 30% of the roof area. It also clarifies the definition of reflective surfaces. And with that, if there aren't any questions, then we can just move on to the design standards table.
Oh, I do have a couple of questions.
Sure.
So you mentioned that it'll be in a document that, this guidance document. Would that be like the blue book or what document would that be in, or is it gonna be in the full 600 pages? Really?
In the zoning regs, yes, folded into the zoning regs as it is today. The blue book is like extrapolation of the
Alright.
chapter and zoning.
So then my question is, will that eventually end up in the blue book, or is the blue book gonna go away, or?
It's probably gonna go away.
All right, so then, now the blue book was approved by the coastal commission. Is any of this going to be reviewed by the coastal
Yeah.
commission?
And in that direction, after the planning commission endorsed for it, that was.
Okay. Thank you.
Can I go back and ask a question, because you said about the flat roof and the reflective roof.
Yes.
And I actually had highlighted questions on specifically those two pieces. So it still says white roofing is prohibited,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
it says also designed buildings using primarily pitched roof where more than 50% of the roof is pitched.
That's for Bayside. I think that's on Bayside.
It has it for,
Which number is,
that is 28.1.5.
or just, it's like A1, A2, B1, and B2. Which section?
Hold on. That is. It's A. I think.
G. So they're working on G, so G. Well,
No, I'm looking.
Oh, I think it's G2. It's G2.
Yeah, it's G2.
G2. So that's, you can see that that's only effective on the Bayside Emerald, for ADUs.
That's only ADUs of the Bayside.
It's ADUs, so I should explain this table. Let me explain this table.
Oh,
I've laid it out.
First off, this is,
Oh. Say it again.
this table's, okay, this table is going to be presented to all proposed project builders. Like, I think, I'm just trying to think of the logistics and mechanics of this table. Is it like something that they're getting that they're,
It's not a form, where you can be turned into a form, but it's basically, I don't know if you recall, but our current ordinance has standards broken up by area.
Yeah.
And it's all written out over pages and pages. So instead of repeating, and then a lot of the standards are repeating over various areas. So instead of repeating constantly, it just states the standard once, and the table represents which area that it actually applies to.
So the table, does it carry any weights, or is there like an order?
It's regulatory. This whole thing is part of the order. I don't think it'll be regulatory.
So it's a one-to-one match with the standards revisions. I mean, it is, if there's any discrepancies or differences, there are already precedents or.
no,
No,
this is the new standard.
it's a checklist.
But it's a checklist versus it's written out.
But this isn't, the standards is like gonna be written out in like narrative format. It's the other doc.
This is it.
Sorry.
This is the standard, written out, word for word. This is it.
Okay, so then the.
There won't be a blue book. This is,
So if we have an owner applicant that wants to build a home, is he gonna have to look at the full, whatever it is, 572 pages, or is there gonna be a guidance of some kind that they can reference?
okay, we have a design, maybe I should start with showing online what the design review ordinance looks like, the current one,
Mm-hmm.
because you wouldn't look at the 600-page document, you would just go straight to the design review chapter. And that chapter is, let's say, 30 pages right now,
Okay,
okay? So it's actually gonna be a lot shorter,
and that's what the
and it's
public,
more of a table format.
Okay, so the one that you attached in this meeting invite, the chapter 28.1.1. General principles guiding application for design review standards, that's gonna get replaced, that's gonna get taken out. There's like a whole like,
No. Maybe, why don't I explain the components of the things that I posted? Would that help you?
Yeah, try that.
Okay,
okay, yeah.
so they're all extrapolations of different sections of the ordinance that already exist. The
Okay.
standards, this is a subset of the design review ordinance. Chapter, I think,
28.
28 of our zoning regulations. Now it's presented in a table format versus a long list. The glossary exists in our current ordinance. So I extrapolated that out with the changes highlighted. Also, the guiding principles is also, currently, it only applies to the mid-coast. It's part of the run-up on Blue Book. It's part of the, like, kind of like the introduction of the Blue Book. And that will now apply to, there's no reason why it should just be limited to the mid-coast. It explains a lot of good kind of principles that apply to design review. So that is going to be still part of the ordinance, but made to apply to Bayside and Coastside. So I hope that helps.
It does, there's just, it's almost like that repeats the table, but okay, so it's just.
It doesn't actually.
It doesn't?
No, because in the current ordinance, there's all the explanatory stuff and then the standard. All, you guys remember this in the Blue Book. There's all this explanatory stuff, what is a neighborhood or, you know, what is like, bulk and mass.
Yeah, but this is.
And then it goes to the standard. So the way that, so I tease them apart. Where all the kind of background information, the guiding principle, the explanation, what is the neighborhood, what is mass and bulk, all that lives in sort of a different section now than the standards. You don't have to, the standards aren't lost.
so like.
Yeah, all this stuff is like, is the narrative, or sorry, it's the background information, but.
Well, no, there's standards.
So all this stuff is. So it's-
Yes. Can I ask a question?
So which one applies then? Both?
The standards,
Standards are.
the standards are
Whatever.
the meat and potatoes of it. Well,
That's what we will judge everything on in
Yeah.
the future.
and it's what you judge everything on now. It's just presented in a different form. You go straight to the standards when you open this book.
All
You
right.
don't,
So then the public, instead of being told to reference the Blue Book or the TAM stuff. They'll just be, what will they get as a guide?
just the design chapter 28, the Blue Book, like I said, is an extrapolation.
So they'll be directed
Yes,
to this, so they'll be directed to chapter 28.
Yeah.
We're referencing.
As they are now.
Okay.
Okay.
I have
No.
never,
Oh, and Beverly Garrity has her hand up. Did you also want to speak?
Yeah, I'm trying to get clarity from.
Well, do you?
I would say that it seems like it's problematic if almost every person in the room doesn't understand how these split and how they're applied.
Yeah,
So that's kind of like my leading comment, but I'm a little bit confused too, so. This feels more like it's kind of like applicability. Right, like the uses and what's applicable for which section, like, is this section applicable? Yes, no, there's an X mark, and it gives you sort of like, I guess, the regulation.
yeah.
Would it make sense then for the end of that regulation to reference the parts, so you're saying the blue book is gonna go away, but are these graphic elements that are part of this track changes guide?
Yeah.
Is this gonna be the first part of the blue book? And then the second part?
Just an editing doc.
No, I think she's saying.
I
it's
think
gonna
we could look at
it's
the
gonna
ordinance.
You're referencing.
The Blue Book,
I know it's not just a blue
you
book.
know, the Blue Book is a section of
Right.
chapter 28.
Right. So is chapter 28 gonna open with this, which is the the standard
No.
application table?
You were not given the full ordinance, this is just the design standards table, and we're only reviewing the design standards with the two different design committees. To get their feedback on this is literally the meat of design regulations, which is the design standards themselves, so we're
Right.
getting your feedback on that. The rest of it, which includes like, the whereases, the establishment of the CDRC, all the establishment stuff, the
Yeah.
design review administrator, all that stuff. The pay, the compensation, the application, the appeal process, that's part of the ordinance, all of that is not being reviewed today, it'll be presented as a full draft ordinance prior to the planning commission here.
Right, I'm just referencing the standards application table and then sort of this, what it's called chapter 28.1.1 DR tracks changes, the other, that was part of one of the documents shared on the website for today.
Yes.
No, not that one, the one with all the pictures.
Oh, that's the guiding principle.
The guiding principles, okay.
Yeah.
So we've got a part A and a part B.
We
Are the
have-
guiding principles gonna still be part of chapter 28?
Yes.
So will it start with this and then it goes to guiding principles?
No, I think it's guiding principles first.
Guiding principles first?
Yes, because it gives you the context. And like, what is a neighborhood, what is bulk and mass, and then it goes to the standards, once you understand that, then it goes to the standards and use of that terminology.
Okay, I was confused because you said there won't be blue book anymore.
The blue book is a handout.
Yeah, so it's basically just a section of chapter 28.
Yeah,
So
like, I don't know if we're gonna reprint another blue book,
Right, okay.
now that we're all so digital, but we can.
Okay,
I think
it does feel to me like there's redundancy. Obviously, there would be between these two documents, but the verbiage is different. So for instance, the section on the roofing that you guys were just referencing, I didn't have like unlimited time, so I focused on the tracked changes, the design review tracked changes document and not this one. And none of that stuff was mentioned in there. So there's things that are,
the standards have been separated from the guiding principles background information, when before they were together. I mean, ordinance, like, I don't know, motion, like,
that makes it more clear though, because it kind of feels like it doesn't.
Yeah.
well, we can debate whether you like it that way or not, but just so you understand.
Like, is it creating more?
I think it's a disconnect for you guys because you're used to a particular thing, but hopefully I'll have a chance to explain why, because I feel like the standards, you know how like the standards are in these like gray documents, but the rest is like, more explanatory discussion, so you won't have to hunt and peck for the standards, and it'll be easy for applicants to kind of like just go through them and just check them off.
Yeah, but you do have to have going back and forth between understanding,
Right.
discussion and standard.
I kind of, didn't sense of, what, just making like, standards a little bit more clear and sort of separating from one of the narrative context that's provided in the principles. There is like some of the terms that you use on the table differ a little bit than the like the narrative includes stuff like elements of design, but that's not kind of organized the same way in the table, and I think that was very intentional that you did that. I would maybe suggest, and this is a comment, it's just including like a column that calls, like it references back to the guiding principles section.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
You know,
Yeah,
so
that
that,
makes sense.
so that kind of.
Yeah, they can.
A clarifying question on the guiding principles. So here's how I understand it. I'm gonna just reiterate my understanding. So today you have the blue book, which is a subset section of the entire 600-page zoning regulation, which I have attempted to read the 600-page zoning regulation before. So I have seen it, I know where it is, I've located it. Now, I understand where the blue book come from. We are attempting to make the blue book less subjective, and much of the language in the blue book is very subjective, I would say. And you can kind of interpret it how you want. So you've extracted some of the guiding principles, right? And you have then separated out the ordinances. These are essentially what we reference. But when we are here as part of a design review board, we need to reference these specific ordinances. When we say to somebody who comes in front of us, we want you to go back and change something. The guiding principles are just that. They're not ordinances, right? They're guiding principles.
They're not standards.
They're not standards. And I think
These are
it's
standards.
very important for everybody to understand,
Yes.
because I hear a lot of confusion.
They are gonna be included in.
This is still just guidance.
Yes.
It is not a standard. This will be a standard by which you can say you can get approval or not get approval.
The language is extremely picked over and intentional. Every word in its right place, while the guiding principles is more conceptual, you know, you're not gonna apply everything strictly. This is a flavor.
So I just would counter a little bit of that, because, you know, use the same shape, size, or to use the same size shape that make existing windows and doors. That's not objective, you know, I just, at some point, we're not the zoning, we're not the planning department, and we're not looking at like specifics. So, I mean, we're called design review, right? And design is not.
But that's what they're trying to say they're changing.
That's your comment on that standard.
Okay, so,
Let's go.
I don't know, is it still gonna be turning into the zoning?
My understanding is part of the reason why we're doing is to adjust the. Is it like affordable unit bypass, a design review or something like that?
No,
ADU.
Or-
ADU.
Is
We're
it
trying to take out the-
How like bigger projects that would be subject to bypassing or,
Yeah, they're like SB
But they
35,
would
they've
still-
done. That
Right.
they're applicable on the coast.
but they would still be. They would still have to apply to. The standard.
But they would also apply to your discretionary projects like single family houses.
Right, but like projects that wouldn't come to us would also still. Or would still have to
Yes.
apply these standards,
Correct.
and that's sort of why we're organizing it in a subjective. manner.
Yeah, I think kind of big picture, right, it's like the state, you know, the housing element of the state and the counties, like. We're trying to increase housing in California, right, and that the design review committee, for some whatever reason, is a barrier to preventing that. When we have never, well, in the time that I've been here, I've never turned that change, so, but anyways, that aside, it sounds like we wanna make things a little bit restrictive. And to increase the housing element.
There's been complaints that it's like. Not as clear because it's subjective, and then it's the appeal processes and the public notice, you know, then the I guess.
And that like I agree, I think this is. Good, like this one.
No, I wouldn't share your individual comments on these standards, I was hoping to actually just go through one by one, but I can understand why you guys needed the lay of the land, like.
Yeah, it's just level set.
Yeah. And how it all fits together. Yeah, no, this is really the meat and the potatoes, and the side dishes are the glossary and the guiding principles. The reason why I provided those is because these have figure references. That tie back to figures in the guiding principles, and not only that, but I've introduced new terminology like the entries.
I thought that.
That is a new definition, because it's not just the front door, it's everything around it, the arches, the overhang, all that stuff. So those are really just there as reference materials, but if we have stuff, oh, Beverly.
Yes, how can I help?
We can hear you, loud and clear.
Yes, I just had to give you permission. It's fine. I didn't have anything to say at this time.
Oh, thank you so much for being here, and I'm glad we can hear you, we can hear it.
Excellent. Okay, you're welcome.
Okay, so it's,
One more thing.
yes, Jen.
So if the intent of this exercise is to become more objective and less subjective. Isn't that sort of like not design review anymore? Design review is literally subjective. Like, what is the point of a design review committee then if it's all objective things that can be applied by anybody?
To catch the projects that there's. SB, what's the number?
SB9, SB5.
There's projects that are coming in now for. Whatever months. That
can buy a house. And they would still be subject to the standard.
Same standards, but I.
And so-
Katie's is like, so why does the CRC exist in this effective standard? So clear everyone. And I think the real reason is because the neighbors do matter. You're gonna have neighbor conflicts and you want to still be able to respond to those in terms of the design. Yeah,
So then is the guidance document even relevant? Or is that adding confusion?
it is relevant and explains a lot of the concepts, the terminologies.
In practice, I feel like the guidance document would be nice. When someone comes and presents their project and really isn't familiar with standard, we
Yeah.
can kind of point to the diagram.
Like, I'm trying to think of it from the standpoint of somebody who's like, I'm gonna go design a house in the
Yeah.
Midcoast in San Mateo County. Where do I start? What do I do? And they're gonna look at these, they're gonna look at this document first. They might not even look at the guideline, at the guidance at that point.
Yeah.
And I guess I can understand the relevance of having something like this that applies to everything to catch projects that don't go through, at a discretionary, like, you know, a design review process that's not as objective, but maybe it shouldn't be called design review standards, then maybe it should just be like, you know, like maybe those should be two separate things, like this applies to everything. And the guidance that's more subjective applies to projects that are in the DR and exempt.
Can I be? Well, here's. And I think that is why there are complaints about this board.
It can lead to inconsistency and arbitrary and someone thinking it's somebody's opinion.
Yeah, I feel like it really. Somebody else the side that says, all we comment on that was color, and we should actually comment on design. Just. Yeah.
But I agree, like as an architect. Having the two documents is a little confusing. I think it's. I feel like it's kind of addressing like this concern of projects that will bypass our personal review. And not considering fully the projects like what we're used to seeing, which is kind of. Cause yeah, as an architect, like I would come in, I wouldn't be sure. Where to look first, yeah. Or what would happen likely is you like design to the first package. And then right before you submit it, oh my gosh, there's a whole other.
Well, I think maybe the background helps, but can you just for a specific example? In the guiding principles, there's like language about like the facade articulation, like the line length of the building site does not exceed 40% of the length of the, you know, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, there's a standard in the guiding principle.
Yeah, so then I was like, when I saw that, I was like, wait, hold on, that actually sounds like,
A standard.
yeah, so. But I like the like discussion, daylight thing is,
Yes.
I think that stuff like. Just as long as we're clear, like we kind of keep that
Like two
separate
separate,
from.
inconsistent, but or not inconsistent, just separate.
Yeah, or have an order of precedence, because, you know, like for Caltrans projects, we have like, you know, you have like the state standards, and then you have like special provisions, and then, you know, so you have like, okay, this is what precisely with that. I mean, ideally, you don't have to do that because you don't have any overlap or you don't have any gaps, but a lot of times you do have those things, and it'll be confusing for people if,
Yeah.
you know, we have things in multiple. Okay.
That's great feedback, Mark, and what I think maybe would help Camille is if you identified a place where potentially a standard is in that. Because the intention of this document is guidance. Guidance doesn't mean standard. Guidance means it's a good idea, but you don't have to do it. This means we as neighbors believe you have to do it.
Yeah, so the intent of Camille's stuff, right? I like.
Right,
It's
yeah.
kind of like, you know,
Yeah.
right. So that's why they're separated, but where this potentially has standards, I think we need.
We need to get rid of them.
We need to get rid of it.
No, it's true. And if they're not in here, then put them in here and take none of that. Stuart, you got.
this will never not be subjective. This process.
Or I hope it doesn't, because then I don't really want to get.
Right, because that, you are the jury. And to tell somebody they can't build a house in a certain time, so everybody has a right to build a house and maybe.
Not really, but
Well, I mean, to a certain extent, we as a community are deciding limits of that.
Sure.
And the real, and market is crafted in such that your property value is determined by your neighbor. So where our interests are conjoined in that manner that we all want, well, not everybody. But some people don't want their property taxes to go up. But there are reasons.
but my goal here is not to be subjective.
Well-
So I want to be clear, I'm not here to pass judgment. I'm here to say, is it in this book or not?
Well, I
Yeah, we
like,
can't-
I want to make a distinction between like subjectivity and like taste, preferences, you know, judgment. Like, I think subjectivity, you know, there's kind of room for interpretation and design and all that stuff. But I don't want it just to be about like, you know, my personal preference for modern design, or whatever, you know, whatever those preferences are, right? But I just don't see how to remove the subjectivity about things like, you know, windows must be the same shape and size. It's like, well, you know, I don't think that's what I.
That's
It's
standard.
It's our.
I've gone through the. Do it. There's an exception that. And you know, some of there's a lot of traditional styles in those pictures, which. You know,
It's deleting.
still leading that we're advocating for that. And then the idea that staff has to follow these guidelines with regard to approving projects that aren't subject to design review. And that has been a problem, because if you go around the neighborhood and you look at projects that staff has approved, you wonder.
Yeah, because they're not clear, they're the standards. need to be-
They're not clear and that's not their bailiwick. It's not what they're trained to do.
Yeah, but we're trying to make it, you know, done.
Well,
But Judy has her hand up, I appreciate it.
yeah, sorry.
Yeah, back when we first got design review, Rich Gordon submitted it at, a Board of Soups hearing. And it was an urgency ordinance and it was passed, and then 6 weeks later, they had the hearing with the ordinance. You have a hearing, you state the urgency. 6 weeks later, you adopt the ordinance, and then within 2 years, you have to go through all of the hearings to do the full thing. Well, when Rich did the second hearing after the 45 days, there was standing room only in the Board of Soups and out in the lobby. He put together a design review task force, 6 of the no-growthers and 6 of the people that were involved in building and construction and all of that. And we met for over close to 2 years, twice a month for 2 hours at a time, off the record, not in public. And that is what the first design review came about with San Mateo County. And when it came back, because there were contractors in the room and designers in the room, as well as neighbors in the room, when it came back for the hearing, there was only one speaker, and that was me saying, "Good job, guys." What I'm sensing here is you guys have just been talking to each other. You need to talk to contractors. You need to have some workshops with people that have been through your process. What could we have done to make the process clearer for you? What could we have done you guys are just talking to each other, and
We've really tried to engage, I mean, not to cut you off, but we've tried to engage the public, we had Ed Love in here, we had,
forgive me, trying to engage the public out there by putting notices that I'm one of the 10 people on the coast side who reads these notices, the agendas. Putting that out there is not engaging the public. Contacting Randy Ralston, contacting Jason Silva and saying, we want you in the room to hear what we can do. Contacting 3 or 4 people who have just built their own homes, saying, what could we have done to have made this process make more sense to you? Have 2 of those workshops, 2 3-hour meetings, and I swear to God, you're gonna come out with a much better result. You guys aren't even clear as to whether you're creating a checklist or a guidance here, and I'm sitting back here and going, I don't know what I'm doing
It's
here.
pretty clear the design review committee is.
Pardon?
The design review committee is not.
I have a hearing process problem, so it's not creating what?
You're not.
It's not creating this it's created by the planning.
I think you're.
You know, you guys are responsible and you guys are the ones that are more likely to hear the angst that is produced by the lack of clarity in what you're trying to do. So I'm just saying, you could talk to me and I can give you 6 people, not me, that would welcome the opportunity to engage with you. But you guys are still operating over here, expecting people to come to you to say, and Camille, this is not saying you're not doing your job, because this is just the nature of this process. You have to go specifically to people to get them to come in.
I just wanted to tell you, I think you assume that we haven't, but we have. So if
I'm looking your agendas every month, and I'm not seeing where that's happened.
It happened in 2022 and 2020.
Okay, all right, then I'm sorry that I've not done my job here. Set up another meeting and I will have 10 guys in the room. I swear to God, set up another meeting and they better be here.
Okay. We may not get it all done today, so there probably will be nothing.
Okay.
And there will be planning commission and there will be board of supervisors. No, there'll be other meetings and we can invite them. So thank you for the comment. Katie.
I guess I wanted to speak to something, April, that you said that your goal is for this to not be subjective, for it to be explicitly objective. I guess what I wonder, do you think that there should still be a design review committee? Because that seems counter. What would be the role of the committee if it's objective and there is no subjectivity?
Just have a checklist.
Because, okay, so let me tell you something. I was on the other side. In fact, Katie, you were on the design review board when I submitted our project. So I have been on the other side and I know Jason well. Jason and I work together. So I can tell you that on the other side of it, it does feel subjective. It feels like, well, wait a minute, why are they telling me to randomly change my garage door? Because coming into the meeting, I looked at all of the documents that were sent to me before I showed up in the meeting and I didn't see anything about my garage door. I didn't know I had to do something about my garage door. And at that point, I've already spent half my life savings trying to build on the coast and invest in this community. And when I show up and get told I need to do something about my garage door, I'm very frustrated. And that's what it feels like on the other side of this committee.
I've been on the other side of the committee as well. That's how I ended up being on the committee. So I get that, but I think that maybe that's a disconnect in communication and checklists more so than.
Can I explain what we're keeping it in a discretionary process? One, I think the Coastside wants it that way. I don't think they want that to change to all ministerial where staff is going down a checklist and things aren't going for public comment, story polls, appeals. And, you know, like where something, everything is sort of like an ADU. I don't, that's not what I believe, or I think that the coast wants. So
That's what this
keeping
is.
No, it's not. It's all the standards written in a clearer way. That's the only way you should look at it.
But you're saying that the goal of this part is to be objective.
It's right. It's written in a clearer way. It's the same. It's literally, when you read these, they'll all be familiar. Because they're literally the same standards, only written clearer. Clearer meaning more objective.
It distills.
It's
Talking.
exactly. That's the only way, that's the only way to see it.
I think we
And
should
honestly,
stay away from subjective.
the
I
word.
think clear, easier to interpret, but saying subjective, objective, Yeah, it's,
It's
we're gonna get
just,
hung up on that.
exactly, and, but it also allows for the, neighbors that intersection of the project with the neighborhood, that this doesn't really get at, cause the neighbor can say, well, because of this, it blocks this and this and this, and it's just like, that's the element that you don't get just going down a checklist.
Okay, so I think it was, you know, the dirty little secret of just is that I've been through this in all different California. You don't have to.
Yeah.
You can push back.
But you don't know that when you're on the other side.
Well, you do with your.
No, well, I mean, if
There
you're,
are
if you
some-
have an architect that you
You know, in any design list, like some things are gonna take precedent, and if they hit like pretty much the big bases, like you're gonna let them go on some of this stuff. And only you guys know where it's like, yeah, no, I think they've really achieved the intent of the standard, or they haven't achieved the intent. So,
Yeah.
that's a little subjective, that probably won't go away.
Who this guidance is really for is for the architect. All right,
Me?
that's who it's for. And it's to keep them a little bit, there's, you know, you talk about subjectivity. So you get an eager owner with a lot of money and wants to build a giant house that doesn't conform with half the stuff in this guidance. The architect says, fine, I'll submit that.
Yeah.
And he charges the guy a whole bunch of money.
Well, I would
Comes here.
say not an architect tell the
They should,
that should
but
not.
I've seen things come here that are just totally out of whack.
Yeah.
And we have to apply these standards, all right? And so who's at fault there? Is it this commission or is it the architect? All right, the owner is the victim, all right?
Mm.
And so this is what this standards are, who should be getting these. And every house that gets an application to be built on the coast, the architect should have these in his hands with instructions from planning to try to follow. And that-
That's business and.
Well, no,
You hire an architect, you're much more success. And if, until we make it a law. Anything, you're gonna. Risk.
I want to make it so that the average man can come in here, or woman or person that wants to build a home, read these, this guidance and be able to submit an application and build a home.
That's.
It's not about denying people, the idea of
Anyway.
personal.
Okay,
Like Mark said, it's fine.
it's much more. You can't even.
Judy, and then Rebecca, and then let's dive into the standards.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to leave. I do have a hearing processing disorder. And I haven't been able to address it yet, and I'm just getting garbled. I'm not able to understand a lot of what you're saying, and it's my hearing, and so I'm gonna leave. But there are two things that I wanna leave you with. One is that one of the things that became clear and for design review that came up over and over again, we want to preserve the unique, eclectic, diverse, unique nature of the coastside by having projects that are consistent, conform, and fit in. And I mean, those are oppositional goals right there. You guys, in this thing, it talks about colors. If you look out the door, the window here, the only two interesting buildings that are not boring shades of gray are an apricot building here and a peach adobe up the hill. I mean, all you see are neutral grays here.
You mean like more muted tones?
The biggest thing though, and I'm representing SAMCAR, the San Mateo County Association of Realtors, when I bring this point up, it is one that we are discussing at length with the Peninsula Clean Energy Commission. And that is, there is no mention whatsoever in this document of passive solar. And that is absolutely criminal, to not be using the sun for everything it can give us for light and heat in terms of the orientation of the building. Any of you that live on the coast and your building faces the south or the west, you know your building is much more comfortable than when your garage is on the southwest corner. And I was astonished and appalled to find that in this area, passive solar is not a component of our design review. And that is just negligent on steroids. So, it's not personal, it's just I'm not able to hear any of what you're saying, so I'm gonna take off here.
Okay, point noted. Pardon? Point noted.
Okay, thank you for that.
The history.
Pardon?
Thank you for the history and the start of the design review.
Yeah.
That's very good.
Yeah, I mean, they were, and I'll tell you, we had contractors in the room. And we're not getting two-story boxes anymore, and that's a good thing. And originally, the other side wanted to have articulation on all four walls on the second story. And Warren Donald says, who built the Apricot building over here? It's gonna cost me more to build. Why is it gonna cost you more to build when the square footage is less? Well, when I can stack my walls, it's cheaper. As soon as I move a wall in, I have to engineer to support that weight. That's gonna cost me more. And it was just by an education of that a lot of the angst and the heartburn went away. So I appreciate that comment, and I'd like to see more of that coming out of this committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Rebecca.
Hi.
Hey.
I just wanted to weigh in. I also would love to get to the actual standards, but my understanding is that, you know, the county has a directive from the state that we are required to provide objective guidelines. And I kind of agree with what Katie's saying. It does make one wonder whether there's a place for the committee at all. But I think that if the committee, and I agree, is something that neighbors and community members want, then the goal has to be for us to be there to help enforce objective standards. I mean, it's a little bit of a bind because we're people in a room and we have opinions, but I think the goal has to be for the standards to be as objective as possible. And you know, with regard to solar, I think it's what we come up against all the time in this committee. We would all love it if every house had solar panels, but you're putting a burden on the applicant if you require things like solar, which are expensive. And I actually think that we do have requirements for solar in this county when you build a new house, but that the design review committee is not the place where those are enforced. I don't know if the person who was saying that has gone, but
Rebecca,
yeah.
I think she was addressing passive solar, like,
Orientation.
Oh, like
Like-
building orientation, right. But
Yeah.
similarly, I mean,
I agree with you.
it becomes
Um,
incredibly restrictive, right? If you say that you have to orient something in a certain way, and as an architect and an applicant, you know, I agree that the standards should be really like. I got on this committee because I had a project that came before this committee too, like Katie, and I didn't know when I started, you know, when I was new in the county, I would always call or walk into the planning department when I have a new project to get information about the zoning. But I think that if someone's in a design review district and they're reaching out for any information at all, they should absolutely be given the standards at the beginning of the project because, you know, as someone else said, it is really incredibly frustrating for a homeowner to pay for a design and then get to design review and find that there are things that don't comport with the standards, especially when it feels like that's subjective. And I have certainly had clients who feel like they're getting pushed around by the neighbors and forced to do things that are not in the standards, like lower their roofs and things like that. So I think it'd be great if we could try to get as objective as possible. That's all.
Thank you. Well, going back to the standards table now, I wanted to go through the first part, which is, states the general design recommendations. So these are basically, things we've taken out of the standards that we want the designer or the architect to keep in mind. So it says, in addition to the requirements listed in the table below, project proponents are encouraged to consider the following recommendations. Consider neighbor view blockage from primary windows. And the primary windows is one of the new definitions, which is living room, dining room, and master bedroom. So while that used to be a standard view blockage, or kind of like a quasi standard where you didn't know really how far to enforce, it's just a recommendation, it's very clear. consider neighbor privacy, and there was a lot of standards about decks. Not positioning them to impact privacy and balconies and patios and things like that. There's none of that in here. We're kind of approaching this privacy the same way the ADU regs address privacy, which is kind of like just window placements above 10 feet. Just normal setbacks and leaving it at that, which is more kind of form-based and less actually, seeing how someone's privacy is actually impacted, just making it very clear. Also consider wayfinding. This was a standard consider wayfinding, and we just didn't find it to be that important. To, deny a project based on wayfinding. And you may have others in here that you want to take out and just kind of make recommendations, and I think we are welcome to that. We do want to make this shorter. And also face garages away from the street. I know that this is a standard, and we do not enforce this.
Anywhere.
We don't enforce it. There's a lot of standards in here that's like, oh, we never enforce that. So it's like, so some of those we wanted to include as recommendations, because we didn't want to lose them entirely. They're well intended.
I like the intention of the section, right? This is just to kind of remove some of the subjectivity out that we're not that doing what's wrong about. How would you like the design review committee to respond to neighbors' comments that, hey, these things are in this guideline document. I have concerns about view blockage, neighbor privacy, blah, blah, blah. You're gonna come to the committee with these concerns. And how would you like us to respond to that? Because I feel like this section is setting us up for some pretty
I
a
would
lot of complaints.
I would say it simply, it's encouraged, it's not a requirement. 1, 2, you have an appeal process, so there is some leverage you have as a neighbor to kind of press on your the applicant to make the changes and to go back and forth. But beyond that, it's not a requirement.
There are guidelines for reviews. And they can help with that discussion.
Yeah, it's I'm thinking of when things are kind of in writing, the neighbors will come and say, hey, this is what you should be, this is in the recognition for standards. Committee, do something about it. So I'm okay saying these are recommendations, not requirements. But we just have to be ready to do that. It's gonna generate a lot of neighbor comments.
It was either just leave it out entirely, which we do want them to consider. It was either leave it out entirely or try to make it super protective and try to figure out how much of the window you can block. And it's just, it was quantitatively, it was not.
Can we almost take this out of that whole section and put it in a design recommendations place?
Okay. Yeah,
We're not-
let's separate it, give it a different number.
That's what I would do, because I don't want to hear you guys are not doing anything, you're just useless.
Okay, so it shouldn't, you can put it there.
Which one?
Privacy.
Second one.
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this would be in the design.
It should be design recommendations. I see how it could be confusing because it's under design.
It just standards.
Yeah, but we'll just leave it in recommendations within that. Okay, so there was also a bunch of stuff in the standards that had to do with trees or tree removal, as well as sensitive habitat and have geological hazards like that. So we did, that's honestly, those are not the purview of design review really, but they are related obviously. So we just put that under applicability of county regulations and took it out of the stairs. Totally agree with that. Okay, so let me explain the layout of this table. It's the same standard. And then it's to the right, 4 columns is how it applies. Whether it applies to ADUs or not, and where. Whether it applies to the Bayside, which is Emerald Lake Hills, Oak Knoll, Palomar Park, Dutch. Whether it applies to Mid-Coast or not, and then whether it applies to other areas or not. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but in the current design review ordinance, there's a section that the standards that applies to these other areas. It's never been, I don't think, clear to anyone what these other areas are. So I define the other areas. If you go to the very last page. I've actually moved this notes for application of standards up to the top, but it was after the printing of this. So notes for application of standards, one, there's figure references are in that guiding principle section. It explains to the extent feasible when feasible. We wanted to not have these words in there to the extent feasible and when feasible. But we found that we still had to a little bit, like it's really hard to get 100% of it.
Can I ask about the ADU, like I thought. Like, so these things apply to ADUs or?
Yes. Well, only when they're checked,
Yeah, so,
yeah. Not for.
okay, and then like, why Montero only, like for.
Well, we can go through it. Well, so just in general, though, in terms of ADUs, it just explains that the ADUs, it applies to detached and attached, and it does not apply to existing buildings that will be converted to an ADU because they're already built. And they're not gonna change up an existing building, that's not gonna convert it too much. And then also number 3, that, the other areas, so clarifying what other areas, are. Is 1, non-residential zoning districts of the Mid-Coast project area, which there are non-resident, there's like PAD, RM areas of the Mid-Coast.
What page are you on?
Oh, last.
Page.
I moved this up, so it's one thing. On here, I added a number 3, but areas of in the coastal zone outside of the Mid-Coast project area where DR applies, it wouldn't come to CDRC because it's outside of the Mid-Coast, but these standards still apply to those areas, these in the other areas section. And then the third thing is non-residential development in a residential neighborhood of the Mid-Coast. So you'll see, stores or what have you, that's.
The commercials get an energy.
There's always been a commercial section in the community design manual, so that got folded in here. I think.
So, Camille, we'll no longer see in the agenda items like ADUs are ministerially reviewed by planning commission and will not be subjected.
Yeah.
But it says these sections apply.
Dating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a confusing thing. So.
So
so-
stuff.
It's ministerial. He does.
We do it, like we do before it comes to you, we do it. And then if it's like, say, a house with an ADU and you won't be looking for the binders on the ADU, staff's already looked at that, we've applied a ministerial process to that. It's not appealable, let's say if they wanted to appeal your decision.
Okay, so it's not a design review committee.
No, but it's designed for these skills, the standards, objective standards. Okay, cool. Diving into the first one, and then maybe, yeah. Building styling. This one has to do with low leaf design, if you guys recall the standard. It's mostly, it applies to transition areas where you might be next to an open space area or like in Monterey, that's where it gets kind of like non-residential. There's some like horse stables, there's like, things like that. So it says, single story and low eave design shall be used in the transition area between the development and any adjoining areas designated for agriculture, recreation, or open space. The transition area for side abutting development is defined as within 15 feet from both sides of a shared lot line. The building eve facing the shared lot line shall be no higher than 12 feet, or when the adjoining open space contains buildings within 15 feet of the shared lot line, that eve shall be no higher than 10% higher than the height of the adjoining building. So this was a standard that we tried to make more clear.
So that's all in the guidelines as well, there's redundancy there.
Okay.
It really has something to say.
Take out guidelines. What's that, Sue?
It really has something to say.
Oh, Beverly. So this only applies to Montero, by the way. ADUs in Montero and residential in Montero and other areas.
It's definitely when you build a big neighborhood.
Can you hear me?
Agricultural.
Yeah.
You can. Is it okay if I say something?
Yes,
Sure.
please.
Okay. for someone coming in with a project to the design review committee, it would be critical to understand the necessity of a recommendation versus a standard or any other category, and how each of these things need to be responded to. You have a glossary, but I don't see a definition for recommendation, standard, or any other category that may be in these documents. Because it's not clear to me what the responsibility is of the architect or architectural designer, how they have to respond
To the recommendation.
to each category in this document. The two obvious ones are recommendation and standards.
Okay.
And if all of the standards need full compliance.
It's in not this table, but in the larger ordinance that sometimes you'll find conflicts. And one will take priority over the other. There's no possible way you can hit like every mark.
Of course, and that's what we dealt with.
What's that?
Of course, yes, and that's what we dealt with.
Yes. And then there's also an exception section actually too. If there's one that just, really they can't do it, then there's an exception process.
Right, so that's not clear up front.
No, I know, because you didn't get that part.
Didn't get what?
You didn't get that part to review. You only
Oh,
got.
you're actually going to clarify that.
That's a great point, Beverly.
Are you going to clarify that in something that's attached to all this?
Yeah, in the larger ordinance, yeah.
Can I make a recommendation then?
Yeah.
Can I make a recommendation, and maybe this will solve the problem, that we clarify, because this is gonna be part of the larger ordinance, as is everything else. But
Right.
we, as part of our design review meetings, clarify what a recommendation and a condition and a standard is. And we can be clear, and I think that would help people who join us to understand, wait a minute, like, we just think this is a good idea, because we all are people.
Right.
Versus like, this is a standard and we expect you to go do something.
Yes,
Yes.
and there are, and articulate there are conflicts in the standards, and where conflicts exist, you can articulate what happens. The other
Yeah.
thing is, stepping back to why this committee was created. I think Rich was acknowledging, it was being compassionate about the difference between the Coastside and the rest of the county. And he understood that the context of structures being built on the Coastside was a critical element, and in many ways could only be understood by those living on the Coastside. And subsequently reviewing new design projects that were going to exist on the Coastside. So I think there's perhaps not enough highlight on the context, the Coastside context, the why we develop these standards. I think it's been lost.
Do you feel like that should be part of the recommendations or the requirements?
I think it should be part of the standards. So when you say should have low eave design, shall be blah, 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 there's a why around that.
Yeah, it's in the guiding principle.
It's in the
It's
guiding principles.
Yeah.
Clearly connected to each of the categorical standards. Do you feel that that's the case?
Yeah, agreed. That's a comment that I think Mark mentioned about adding a reference that ties the standard to the guiding principle.
Yes.
Thanks, Jane.
Yeah, because there are definite reasons and benefits to following the standards that I think would help a lot of people who are trying to build their structures on the coast side.
Okay. Okay, anything else?
That would be it. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. All right, any more on this one? My question really is, are these numbers appropriate, no higher than 12 feet? And then the 15 feet transition space?
I think it seems reasonable.
Okay, good.
I mean, particularly in Montana, a lot of zoning, well, I think it depends on zoning. When you've got a more narrow lot,
Yeah.
15-foot dimension,
Is it,
yeah, I feel like there might be a qualifier for lot size or for specifically what zoning in Montana, because some zoning in Montana is larger lot sizes, so that would be my only concern, like, let's say somebody's got a substandard lot.
okay, should only be the lots
You're
larger.
restricting them to only.
That's a good point.
Okay, just have that in mind.
That's a really good point.
That's a very good point.
I have another question, I'm sorry. I'm trying to understand the difference between the last two columns. You've got mid-coast residential only and all other DR areas coastal zone. Isn't the coastal zone only the mid-coast?
Say it one more time.
The last two column titles, mid-coast residential only and all other DR areas coastal zone. Isn't the coastal zone only the mid-coast? What's the difference between
Well,
the two?
Pescadero's in the coastal zone.
The last page has.
Yeah, I was looking at that.
It's Pescadero, St. Gregorio, that's all.
Are they in a design review?
They're not in the mid coast, but
Are they-
they are, yes, there's design review sections of those areas. Yeah.
Okay.
Stuff. When we process the CDP or when we process the PAD permit.
Okay.
Cool, okay. That's a very good point, Katie. Thank you so much for that.
Well,
About the 15 feet. Okay,
Can I,
yes,
and this will follow through,
okay,
you know, there's the general design concept that love the landscape, but not the landscape. And I don't know if this changes this particular instance, but I will, but I think how do you determine, I think is what you're saying, right, if I'm wrong, but so the last lot in a development has this standard if it's next to an open space.
yeah.
Um,
So you don't have something really high sitting against near a property line that's
Open space.
kind of rural-ish open space. Designated for art. Recreation.
What was the motivation behind that section? Is there a concern? that
It's
the
just
open-
about design that the
it has to do with the coastal commission and the nature of the coastal commission was to preserve the coast.
and the views from the rural areas.
Well, that's.
Should like transition, you know, like it shouldn't just be boom urban, like
Yeah.
against the rural, it should like.
I mean, the bummer about that somebody who buys that lot is buying it because they want to see the space. I
At the same time, they're not contending with like a house next door that's 2-story as well. I think the idea is that they're a little closer to. They can see that view. I mean, I
Well, they
can
can't
see
see it
that.
if they're. to what's-
Well, I think it was second.
And they can apply for an exception, like say if, you know, if it's well done and sensitive to the nearby properties.
I guess I was just curious who's being impacted by a higher decline.
I don't, do you know how many standards apply that apply a low eve kind of mentality? There's so many figures and there's so many standards that I don't honestly know how consistently they are enforced here.
And actually, they're not, and I can tell you because they're so. Because the design of the structure often determines the E, right?
Yeah.
And then, and even though it says.
And the neighbor.
Right, and the neighbor, but even though it says that, it's very difficult because they are in conflict a lot.
Yeah, and when we have one of these and we're like, change it to, it's like, they can't do that on the fly.
No.
It's like, it's such a, you know, I almost feel like it's fun where we.
If you guys don't care about low E, if there was just such an emphasis in the standards.
Well, what I like about it is if projects don't come here, they're stuck with the standard.
Yeah, and I think
They can come to us, get the exception.
ADUs are the things that matter the most when I was thinking about this, cause you can do like 26 feet within 5 feet, what is it, what's the lower one within,
16.
16 feet within 4 feet. And having that up against like near a barn or near a, it's just like
Yeah,
inconsistent, I mean,
Well, I'm curious, because, but see, this one doesn't, it says. So I think that standard could, you know, you've got something later on where you talk about another standard for ADUs, which are non-conforming to the lot line. That's in buildings that do not meet the setback requirements. So I'm wondering, I mean, I kind of, this building sitting thing, what I imagined when I read this one was. You know, you want some kind of transition, right? You don't want like an empty field and then a 3-story building.
yeah,
You want a transition.
yes.
That's the goal of that standard. I'm just trying to think if there's a simpler way for us to do that,
Yeah,
because the way that it reads right now with all of the conditions in it, like 12 feet, 15 feet, like so the setback and all of those things, it does start to create a lot of conflicts with other standards right away. And so I'm wondering if we can't just say it really a little bit more plainly, a little bit more directly, that if you're sitting next to an open space, right? Then we expect the design of the building to.
speak in the lower, wow.
Yeah, that'll come off more subjective. Yeah, I think them putting in these numbers is so that they can.
Exactly.
feel it.
Actually, it's subjective.
It is.
So like, you know.
We have to allow
It's
some.
a pickle, right? Put those numbers in.
The transition.
Transition what?
It's a transition lot.
Yes.
Yes.
It's a transition between.
Buildings, yeah.
But I agree with Moshe in that, you know, it's the least common denominator for staff. I would rather that than giving somebody the option of a successful design that so a rural room of the open space. Yeah, that's harder to achieve than a transition space.
So you think so do you think the transition space should be smaller to not end up with the scenario that Katie was talking about? And should the lots, should it be like for lots larger than like say 10,000 or 10,000 or larger?
I think it would either need to be for lots, like with a width and a measurement in that dimension of X amount or measurable percent. Perhaps, you know, when we were looking at some of the, I think it was the mid-coast commercial development that we were looking at, where we're doing a percentage of the width of the lot, not to exceed blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, but isn't the standard zoning 10,000 square feet in those zones, and then
Yeah, but there's still some standard lots.
there's substandard lots that have to go to planning commission.
And you permit and, well, some of, if there were enough.
Montera has, they've got F-17.
All around that rule.
I don't know how much for the trench.
Let me look into that and bring that one back.
Typically there is only one lot line that which relates agricultural recreation or open space, so, right?
But yeah, it could just be on one side. It'd be a corner lot.
Could be a corner lot. Yeah, that's true. Maybe it's, yeah.
So we should. Oh, Beverly, you figured that?
Yeah, I had my hand up. Katie, was it you who articulated what it's really trying to do is to maximize the transition, or make it a smooth transition between the open space and the structure. Did you say that, Katie?
Well, I was asking, what is the purpose? Yeah.
I mean, is it possible to embed that language? I thought that was really concise and descriptive of why, these more objective measurements were being created. And then somebody else said, maybe it's just the side that's exposed to the open space.
Yeah, that's all we're talking about, the shared 15 feet within the shared law of the shared law.
So if it's understood what we're trying to do, then these numbers are recommendations, because they may need to be more severe depending on the open space characteristics, neighboring open space, or they could be perhaps more lenient.
Well, that's the problem that Mark pointed out, because I said that. I was the one who said, well, can't we just state that the standard is that you need to have, a transition between an
Right.
open space and a residential area, and then Mark said, but then we're back to subjective and we're not objective.
That is subjective, but that introduces why you're suggesting or specifying 15 feet, the absolute measurements. So if people understand that, then they can try to implement the numbers you're suggesting, but there may be some deviations that are acceptable.
Well, the deviations are through the exception process. We don't need to discuss the deviations.
Right, but do you need to clarify that the objective is to develop this transition?
I mean, there's a lot of objective stuff in the guiding principles. We're really just trying to minimize the text, honestly, in this table, or this table's already 1, 2, 3. I mean, it's already like template.
You do have wording that talks about transition. I'm just asking to crisp it up.
Okay.
You see, you have wording in there. Pardon?
Just, Beverly, on 28.1.11, it says, and place special attention should be paid to these transition areas or buffer areas where
Yeah.
residential space and use needs. So that's kind of the why it's there.
Yeah.
And that reference will be now in this table.
Oh, okay, so you'll reference back.
I'm gonna reference back in every standard.
Okay, all right, that helps a lot.
Okay. Yeah, where I'm headed with this, I think, is like for lot sizes larger than such and such. I don't know if I'm gonna talk about width, we'll see. But, and then also, those that are not in an R1 zoning get a pass.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, let me think about that one a little more. Number 2, structures are set back from the edge of cliffs and bluffs located in areas of the property that are not visible as viewed from scenic areas below. That would be applicable to ADUs and to the mid-coast area.
What's C?
The community design manual, so I took it from the community design manual, and it's already in the community design manual and already applicable to other areas, so. That is what I was. Alright. So any comments on that? No? Okay. If development is proposed on a ridge line, these are all familiar.
Yeah, that's definitely not like. That's not like a regulating statement law.
The ridge line?
Well, it has to be set back from the edge of the bluff and cliff, but it's a law. And also that's also redundant language that's in the guiding principles on that too.
This figure 8 is terrible.
Figure 10.
No, it's figure 8.
Figure 8.
Oh, it's really figure 8.
Yeah.
Oh, 10
Is
is
that
a
the
mistake.
worst place you could put it?
Ted, can we show the
I think
figures?
it's supposed to, there was a graphic person.
It's like the third. It's either the third or the fourth. I think it's the third. Can we do a split screen? John?
I haven't done it before.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Figure 8.
I don't know, I think figure 8 makes sense.
Imagine on the left, top left.
Well,
My,
You
my
want-
with extent.
And then,
Okay.
and then scroll down to the figure 10. So all these figures have numbers, or figure 8, so go down, that's figure 2. No.
Yeah.
What's
I think figure
No.
7 is actually.
It's
Oh,
not
it's-
ten.
so-
Ten.
page 10?
Yeah.
Okay. Wait, go down. No, this is the ridgeline one.
Yeah. it's-
This isn't the, so go to figure 10, go to figure 10, go down 2 more. This one, it's this one. It truly is figure 10, it's this one. This is the cliffs and bluffs. Okay. So that's the cliffs and bluffs.
I thought we were.
Okay, are we on 3 or are we on 2?
Well, I just, my point was that, that's subjective still. That, okay, I said back 1 step.
It's just not.
No, she said that are not areas that are not visible, so if you can't see it, then that's
From where?
you've met the mark.
I mean,
Can't see it from where?
Valamar is perfect.
As viewed from scenic areas
Well,
below.
see that little person there, like, I think that's to Katie's point, like. That's like from where, right, like from that, where that person is, if they're in front of the ocean or low tide.
That's discretion, that's like, yeah.
So I'll just say beach, should I just say beach?
Should do that? Objective, I
No,
don't.
what it should be, it's the technical data.
The mean high tide line?
You are define what the scenic area.
Well, I
is
think
for
we
that.
mean the beach.
Sea level rise.
So I'm just gonna say the beach. Can we keep it simple?
I mean,
Land form.
it's good, but then you end up with the problem of people not understanding, not knowing how to apply
Yeah, she's right.
the information.
Well, I guess I don't understand it, like what's so confusing.
I think so, so we take out the
Yeah.
person.
Can't apply.
In areas that are not.
So somebody's gonna come to the design. But
Oh,
like,
I'm gonna say immediately below.
Now, can I make a suggestion? Okay, structures are set back from the edge of bluffs and cliffs located in areas of the property. Wait,
It strikes them at the same distance as the height of the structure, right?
yeah, that would work,
But I mean, it depends on their actual property size and. the-
right?
Okay.
it's just hard to.
But that's kind of like, you're looking at the triangle and there, the distance that's set back is about.
That's good.
But that's a good point.
But then it could be one of those narrow parcels.
Where is their property?
And then again, I guess.
The property line isn't gonna be water, it's gonna be an easement from for the.
I think we get- You know,
And then there's gonna be a setback in the rear yard.
because the rear yard was, and.
So there's no way you could do that anyway.
Yeah, and they're all narrow parcels. They're all like narrow long parcels.
Right.
So I think we can get rid of this one. Cause one, the geo report will say how much it needs to be placed away from the crumbly part of the cliff or bluff. And 2, there's already a 20-foot rear setback.
But I like Katie's suggestion of when it's really close, so it would be much closer than everybody else's recommendation, right?
What do you mean? What's the
Like,
recommendation?
the geotech's gonna push the building
All the way.
much further than the
Yeah,
plan.
so can you see?
Right,
Yeah.
put rear setback.
Yeah.
The height limit is 28,
Yeah.
so we're only asking them to hold it back 8 feet.
Camille?
They're like that height, like if it was 1 story at the back of the house,
Yeah.
it would only have to be set back that far from the property line.
Well, the property line in some cases could be the eroded away land. It's not just the visible cliffside.
That's true. That's true. That's true. That's true.
Well, I guess edge of bluff is tall out.
So maybe between geo and so there could be no setback, so no rear setback, it's just the amount. The geos are gonna move it out, but
A lot of people are gonna have their own regulations around where you can put the building on the bluff.
should we just do a low eve on the bluff? Like, you know how like the top one has a low eve and the second one doesn't?
I feel like it's all these properties are gonna be subjected to the coastal commission review or whatever, and they're gonna like. Be a lot stricter on this than we would.
I think Katie's suggestion is great.
I like getting
Oh, really? Okay, so set it back from the bluff, the amount of the height.
the height of the building, right? The height of the building determines how far back from the bluff you would have to set the building.
Right, so in that case, you'd have to use the existing cliffside and create an angle. So
Yeah.
you could
Yeah.
say 45 degrees from the existing, not the original, but the existing cliffside, and that would determine.
Should the intent is to protect the scenic corridor, right?
Yes. Your suggestion works objectively.
Yeah,
You should do a, but that, you know how like where it steps down to the.
You could apply that to.
Steps down with the. Okay.
It's been. Yeah. Pretty close to the actual walls.
No, but that's her point. Point is that if
You could.
if you set back, so let's say you wanna build a 90-foot tall building, then you have to set it back 90 feet from the scenic corridor. That's
Right.
I'm saying, if you have like a tolerant like this, the less I can see it.
I guess realistically, do we need this? Because if there's a 20-foot rear setback, I guess it goes back to the question of. I think that what we need is something that specifies that it is something set back from the cliff edge, not from the property line, because the property line setback is
Yeah.
where the issue is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
we've never been allowed to do that. And I'm not sure who allows it or who doesn't allow it, but we've
And
never.
it's kind of like sitting on top of paint, right?
So
It's always just run by the geo report. I think we got where we want. It is objective, yes. Okay, if development is proposed on a ridge line because there is no other developable building site on the parcel. Ensure construction maintains and blends with existing vegetative passes the land post does not extend above the height of the forest or tree canopy. You do?
Yeah, we do. So while on the surface, it seems like a good idea,
Yeah.
to have a building of the landscape, like front road, right, yes, and shining brow, that kind of thing. What this middle one does really is encourage sprawl. And because and drainage issues and everything else. Density needs to be where density is and all together. Otherwise, these houses are spread out amongst the landscape. And there are more problems than there should be.
We're talking about number 3, right?
Yes.
So is your point, if there's already houses on the ridgeline, let it be on the ridgeline? But if there aren't houses on the ridgeline, then why would you want to put it on? You shouldn't put it on the ridgeline. You should put it below the ridgeline. Right?
Maybe it's just not this far below the ridge line.
Oh, go to figure 10. Oh, sorry, figure 8.
I mean, this figure makes it look like
Is it this one?
Again, it's a bit quantifiable.
these are in.
This one?
These are,
Go 8. Go 2.
it's page 10,
Go to,
next page.
Next one. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, if you want it to be objective, it's just be something quantifiable, how far on the ridge.
Where it doesn't exceed the height of the forest or tree.
I mean, because this also goes to one of your other comments that the buildings can't be taller than the trees.
Yeah.
And in the last image,
That would meet that
that would
criteria.
meet that criteria, and so, of the two, I think the last one is.
I would suggest, I don't know. I think we should take this.
Yeah.
Why?
Feeling that.
I don't want to do.
Yeah, so there's lines.
It's considering that, I'm like, this stuff. Because it's also, this is environmental stuff.
I mean, when you drive through Taylor City, you can see how it looks when you put stuff all over the ridge line.
Little lost. But that is a different era, I mean, that you can't. This, it also goes to the view corridor issue. You can't put a building, you can lean on the view corridor issue and not put a building in visual.
It may not be in a scenic
This
corridor.
makes things more complicated, defensible space, there's a whole wrench in that too.
Right.
That's my problem. That's actually the first thing I thought of. And the reason I said I don't know about this is because of the height of the tree canopy looming over the height of a building where we've just been rated as a high fire.
Yeah,
We're not saying we put it next to the tree canopy, we're just saying it can exceed.
no, but it says maintains the vegetation.
Yes,
I have to go, I'm sorry, I have to pick up.
that one I do think has a problem with. I mean, I agree with you. We don't want little boxes sitting on top of the ridge line. But I think we need to find a way to not have little boxes sitting on top of the ridge line, but not anchor it objectively against the tree canopy or vegetation.
Sorry, I had to go this.
Okay, thank you, Katie.
Let me know, so
Let
let
me
me
know
know
if there's a rematch.
I don't know if we can just say, buildings shouldn't like pop up above the ridge line. Like, you don't want your building sticking up on the ridge line.
Yeah,
And somehow like, you can say that without adding the tree canopy and the vegetation and all of the other pieces of this, because. Yeah, we've got fire.
okay, we'll say forget the blends with existing vegetation mass or. But.
Art, can you say more about your resistance?
I just, these standards are applied not just to the mid-coast, but just. Yeah, the county in general, and it's not, and what I'm hearing is it's not just for us, it's for planning commit, the planning staff, except. And these are pretty like weighty, like things about like streams and creeks and visual lines and tree stuff, I don't feel like. I think they're important enough that, the experts, if you will, in the planning staff that deals with stuff and way anymore, so. That's my convention. And frankly, in the time that I've been on the design review committee, this one's taken so.
Yeah, this is the.
Well, not here,
Usually like the lots are small enough where you can't set it back too
Yeah,
far.
there's no really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've just been, on high surface, really look at it, so.
Well, it does happen up on Elgin Middle.
That's what I'm looking at here.
I mean, yeah, again, but like to balance it out, I'm not a builder either, so maybe builders are like, shoot, that's making it unbuildable, whatever, so.
I do, wanna know, have we run this by some builders locally? I mean, Jason's a great guy.
This is, so we tried to engage the building community back in 2020.
I thought they were being here.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm just here for you guys to pick your
Yeah,
brains on the design standards, and then we're gonna broaden it out to, everyone for the planning commission. But truth of the matter is, they have better things to do in their.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna be fair, for builders, they're financially motivated to, so they'll be, they'll contribute on for the process, I'm not worried about them coming in. Saying what they said they will, because they're should motivate to do so.
But I can make them a more concerted effort again to invite the architects and builders and design.
So I would recommend removing from standards 3 and 4. If you wanna create an objective standard for not building on top of ridge lines, I think you could say, you should make an attempt not to build a house that sticks out above the ridge line, like something like that. But I think 3 and 4 can be in the guidelines, recommendations, but don't belong in the designs.
I think 4 does personally.
4 is common.
I mean, we could,
4 comes up on the baseline a lot, in Emerald Hills where you have like a lot of like.
we could just,
Creeks.
we-
Creeks in Devonshire, Emerald Hills, yeah, like someone wanted to output it all in
I
a.
did it with Rasmus.
Under a driveway.
we could do a maximum ridge height above the. Like, ridge. Right?
So I wrote here, development shall only be placed above.
It's related to the tree canopy, which I just, I don't know, trees grow,
Mhm.
so. I think if we relate it to the top of the ridge, it could be,
Oh,
that,
more than the tree canopy. Okay,
I don't know,
yeah, trees grow, trees get removed, especially
Yeah.
eucalyptuses. Okay, that's fine. That makes sense.
It'll cost you 10,000.
In exploring ridgeline development, I think it's important to look at where it's failed. Like where structures exist on a ridgeline.
Yeah, I think this is like a Daily City.
like Algernado Boulevard.
Pacifica has a lot of issues with ridgeline development. So if you take a look at that and consider how that could have been prevented, I think that will yield meaningful results.
I think, I mean, I don't know why we can't just say that you shouldn't build directly on the ridge line.
Yeah.
You need to build down.
Yeah, that's what, so my proposal is just scratch out everything except for development shall only be placed above, unless there's like no other place to build.
Right.
Okay, perfect.
I
Are
think
we
even
moving?
on
Great.
Roberts Road and Fastler, they addressed that pretty well. They have full modern,
But they're on the ridge.
you know,
Oh, they're not on the ridge, perfect. And there's a way to do it if you're on the ridge.
yeah, I just think that good middle illustration is.
Could we give it a 15-foot of ridge line?
Okay, 15 feet.
Like if you're looking up around, if you're looking up around Boulevard, like the one there now, sorry. Like that seems really good.
Nice.
Well, when you got figure eight, you generally can think.
Like these ones.
But the whole line within looks like it's something, and the bottom line. The box is very.
Or you can build down. I mean,
Let's see it.
I feel like
Here, look at this.
Yeah.
Show me. This illustration to me is like very good, actually. I don't understand why it's bad.
Well, this is like, I mean, I mean, if your camera, this one here, you're more kind of faced this way, those buildings are gonna look like they're.
On the, no, they.
Oh,
It's not like it has to be.
Okay,
This
this
like.
is,
Way to know she's coming. If those buildings were 15, extended 15 feet above, then the buildings would be of the landscape.
Yes,
But now, well, the way that's shown, it looks like they're like set into the.
well, there's the middle one, but like say, which does meet the criteria, but the third one, if you just like
No,
look down on the hill.
It's, yeah, if these, if you just Photoshop these down,
Yeah, we.
Halfway.
With 15 feet sticking up above the bridge line, like they'd be fine.
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
I mean, not great, still number 2 is better. But anyway, I think we're beating,
And our density.
and I agree.
Podcasts, bigger. Over. Like. Sketch, right? Like that's the density.
I mean, it can be, but this also applies. The other area.
Yeah, and like.
Yeah. So we under time check, how long do you guys wanna go?
I think that's a four.
4?
Yeah, four.
Let's,
And.
I want to go jump to the other side.
Come on.
It's.
let's call it a 4.
Is Fred Tide going? And maybe look.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, Camille, I think number 4 needs to stay.
I think 4 needs to stay as well. So this just said avoid streams and creeks, but I had added for clarity, streams, creeks and other natural drainage systems shall not be altered. E.g. redirected or channeled, including removal of native non-invasive vegetation on creek banks, culverts and bridges over streams may be allowed if necessary to provide access and found not to significantly impact citizen habitat. Because like I said, there was a project that wanted to inlet the creek under a driveway. Instead of just staying that far away from it, which is what they should
I think
be.
the Bayside has done that with horrible results. We don't want to.
It's just bad engineering, it's just bad practice.
I've worked on a number of where the creek is literally.
They're all over Santa Cruz.
I'm curious why this isn't like zoning regulation.
That's what I thought. I was like, why is this a design review?
Because sometimes when it's in the LCP, But because the LTV has like the 30 to 50 feet there. But some of these houses come in with CDX. Okay, B1, the exterior design, compatibility with surrounding buildings, the exterior design of the ADU, so this only applies to ADUs, shall be made compatible with an existing or proposed single-family residence on the same property through the common use of one of the following design elements, building and or roof form, materials or color, just.
This one is so hard because what if, and this is common on the coast, what if the existing is horrible?
Then change the color of it.
Well, I have a question about this one because, they just built. There's a couple ADUs that were built in Miramar very recently, and they had such big lots that basically they split the lot in half, right? And they built.
Well, I heard I debated this time.
Oh, I know which ones are better. You know which ones are, that's right. And they're totally different.
Then the house.
Yes.
Yes.
So if they use like a similar roof form or a similar building form or materials or color, then at least it has some relation. And I'd say this is like a very easily met criteria. Yeah,
And again, the design review is not based on the,
no.
this is strictly for
Yeah.
project managers.
So I just did one in Montero. Existing house was 700 square feet, and ADU was bigger.
That's not in the standards.
It's a lot.
It's not-
There's
There's nothing in it.
Yeah.
the roof form.
Sure, we can live the same. We don't want the houses, we don't want neighbors' houses to be the same.
Of just echo one element, because they're on the same property. You think we should scratch this? Stu, what do you think?
It's a hard. subject. Step.
I just think you should scratch.
We don't have objective designs.
Yes, I don't think so. That's my opinion.
What do you think?
I
Scratch this?
Try and get.
Gives them some.
It's okay that the two buildings, like you're saying, they
You know
don't.
what? I don't know that I would have wanted it to look like the original is more the problem, because what they're building now and the designers that are building now are actually sometimes building way better. And it's like, I'm thinking about the house right next door to me that is building an ADU that's 2,000 square feet practically, right? And it is this horrific Spanish home in our neighborhood, and there's no Spanish homes anywhere in there. And so if he copies his home, it'll look really bad, and it is now the size of a regular house. So ADUs on the coast are not just, they're not just like small little casitas in the back of somebody's yard. There are as prominent as the main home. So then the question is, what do we want that to look like? And I think it just needs to comply with all these standards in general. Right? So you should just comply with all of this, and then we'd be done with it.
Well, I've often used the Palo Alto design. Their design standards are whatever style it is, it has to be the best version. And the design review evaluates that.
Yeah.
So craftsman for craftsman.
It's a craftsman, it has to be the best, it has to have all the elements of a craftsman. If it's modern, it has to be the best version of modern. You know.
We didn't want to use literally the word style. It
Spanish.
doesn't show up in here because we don't, because then they'd have to hire our.
I never appreciate.
But here's the thing, like this house that's gonna get built next to me, this ADU, which I haven't seen it, I don't know, I want to try to pull it out. But I don't want it to be built in some weird Spanish style, because none of the houses on that street. And they're building the house in the back part of their lot, and it's gonna face Magellan, right? So my house is on Magellan, it's facing Magellan. The other house is on Coronado. I want that ADU that they're building, which is properly the size of a house, to look like the neighborhood. Look like the neighborhood, not look like the house that's building it.
But you're taking the one house that you don't like. What about looking at all the houses that you do like, when they build an ADU, it can look like those houses?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that don't you want to have whatever ADU they build to look like the neighborhood, to conform with all the standards, not to conform with the house that's building.
You know, the problem is if you say it needs to conform to the neighborhood. Which house of the neighborhood?
Well,
That's
my
simple side,
reason
these
is-
numbers are-
The neighborhoods are eclectic.
Yeah.
So that would provide more options.
Yes.
Right.
Street say or adjoining home.
I mean, I don't think we can hold people to making the ADU stylistically look like the main house, even if we're not using the word style.
Well, I think what we're trying to avoid are the cases where the ADUs look like elaborate sheds. Just two-tier elaborate sheds. And,
No, I don't want to avoid that.
pardon?
I don't think we're trying to avoid that. I think we're just trying to have it be secondary to the home and in that way. Match the home. Somewhat.
What I'm saying is they're not
Okay.
secondary to my home.
No, but as the homes get turned over with larger homes, you know, everyone always just goes larger.
Yeah.
Well, that's,
It'll get more that way. Right now, the ADUs are bigger than the home, but the home may not.
So.
Is that Neil?
Huh? Sorry.
Is that proving to be typical? The ADUs are larger than the home, but still fit within the required.
No, I would say that's really rare.
It's in Miramar, it's not rare. And where I am is not rare. For sure.
It has to be,
There's
a
conditions.
detached ADU has to be no more than 35% of the main.
Yeah, but there,
But if it looks like the main house, then it makes the main house bigger.
and the other thing is that if it looks exactly like the main house, I feel it looks like just mini-me's of the house, or like, I don't like it to match exactly.
yeah,
No, this is
they're saying one element,
one element.
it's not the whole.
This is not carbon copying, this is,
And match the need.
what part of the, be specific, because saying match the neighborhood is like saying, oh, match 100 different things.
I agree
Yeah.
with,
And I think Rebecca's accurate. The neighborhoods are now eclectic.
I mean, we could try a term like be harmonious with or something instead of match. Match seems like a tricky word, but then that also feels subjective.
2, 3 cover this fine. I don't think we need them.
Okay. For number one, it already says compatible with, so if you just strike out the,
Is subjective.
yeah.
So that,
I think we're debating.
Yeah, I think you've left it open enough so that it can either be the building and or roof form and or materials and or color.
Doesn't number 3 cover that? In addition to an existing structure, shall be made from option. Well, can't we just make that a
But
fine?
why not two apply to detached ADUs and make it, which right now it doesn't, but why can't two, the design of the new.
Oh, it's
building-
a neighborhood.
Building it.
yeah, okay, But the thing is, I don't love it because I'm gonna say adjoining homes, because they might start things like 200 feet away.
Okay, pick
Adjoining homes,
adjoining homes.
okay, perfect.
Good negotiation.
And no,
Adjoining or across the street, adjoining or across the street,
I think it needs to be,
adjoining.
I think it needs to be the 10 homes within the area, right? Across the street, next door, behind.
Adjacent, that's just adjacent. Just say adjacent.
Adjacent.
Compatible with adjacent homes.
Yeah, you like, yeah, okay, good, so I crossed out number 1 and we amended number 2.
Yes.
Okay, good.
And then make number 2.
Oh, well, you can't cross out. Wait, design of a new.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I have to keep 1 and 3, yeah.
You keep 3, you get 2 applicable.
Yeah.
And you get rid of 1.
Yes. Okay, number 3.
I feel like even compatible with adjacent homes sets a project up for failure sometime. And you've got neighbors coming in and saying this isn't compatible with my home.
No, it's not subject to public review. You mean after it's built, they say it's.
No, I guess you're right. This wouldn't be at a hearing if this was an ADU.
Yeah.
It's also this information.
Mythos. I mean, they just have to show the picture of the home within.
I worry that it constrains people from doing anything innovative.
For an ADU.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you, but I think this is the kind of the point, right? Is that the design of new buildings shall incorporate building and roof forms, colors and materials of the neighborhood. I mean, the whole point of that is to stop somebody from just building something totally created in the middle of a neighborhood and has some consistency.
I think contextual context has to be determined by scale,
Mm-hmm.
not by style.
The form. Or the size.
Yeah.
The
Form.
That's, I'm trying to focus on form, not style.
Yeah, exactly.
So it says incorporate building and or roof forms, colors and materials of the adjoining.
Wait,
adjacent.
Stuart, say more, please, about that. Scale, like,
Like context has to be determined by scale, because I was explaining this to somebody the other day. You know, you have a big Victorian, and this is especially challenging on the coast. You have a big Victorian, and then you have a bungalow. How do you build between them? You could go Victorian and outweigh the bungalow, or you can go bungalow and the Victorian sticks out. Or you can do something totally different that bridges the gap and creates equity in the neighborhood and balance. Because, you know, really we're seeking equilibrium.
right, so there's a lot of interpretation around it.
Well, I would say that if there was any one primary principle of the design standards, it's be compatible with the neighborhood. And if that is no longer important, then we're really changing the premise of this blue book.
That's been the core conflict with the subjective nature of the design standards. Because the coast doesn't have a cohesive language.
Yeah,
And it's like, it's the whole thing with saying like, you like an eclectic, but you have to match the neighbors.
but it does have a pretty cohesive scale.
Yeah, exactly.
And here's the thing, like, I still feel like, and I felt this way when I did our house. And my house was interesting because it has like a New England cedar clapboard house directly from it, across from it. Then on the opposite side is like that ultra modern one that everybody can see when you drive up, that has like the really angular roof. That was built by like the Facebook CEO, right? And then it's got the, you know, the weird kind of Spanish house. And so like right around me, there was no cohesion whatsoever. And so when I did our design, I was like, I wanted to try to blend all of these different styles so that it doesn't feel so out of context. I mean, I think it is interesting that we allowed that really big square to be built next to that original Victorian home in Miramar.
Here's the interesting thing, by the time it gets to the coast, but by the time it gets to us, we're not gonna tell an architect or to change your style, like your overall style.
Stuff like that, there's nothing in the neighborhood.
Yeah, so kind of that, what Stu was saying about like, let's just, whatever style they choose, right, let's maximize and make sure that it's not neither fish nor fowl syndrome, right? If you're going modern, start introducing weird articulations or whatever, like, so
Yeah,
it's.
should we take color and material out of this number 2?
Well, I mean, it's not a bad idea. I mean, maybe it's just.
Better to have more flexibility.
Or it's not all of the above, it's an or. So color, material, or
Okay.
into.
Okay. Well, and plus you guys, if it goes to CRC, you guys can say, yeah, that eclectic thing fits in, but for staff, we need to literally play matchup, you know what I mean? And if it matches, then it.
I mean, I'm sorry, like, I should say like, you know, like, personally, like. I think that Coast has enough coastal craftsmen, right? But if a coastal craftsman coming out, I'm not gonna like, no, it's.
I
what the
think-
audience, right?
It fits in.
In the case that was listed with all of the different styles, then the compatibility is in scale, not style.
Yeah, and that's in number 2. So, okay, so we're skipping number 3, because number 3 is the same thing, but only for additions. So C1. For the building shapes and bulk. Portion of the house above the existing grade, design buildings with shapes that step up or down hillsides in the same direction as the natural grade. I mean, this one you guys actually enforce.
That's the
Yes, we
same,
do.
that's the same as with this.
Yeah.
It's the same discussions.
Well, no, it's more for just like this. It's more this too.
Well,
It's more like the things.
It's a macro scale, this.
Yeah. So are you okay with, are you okay with it?
Isn't somewhere else determine what the slope actually has to be, because. Sometimes we try enforcing the slope. Like that it has to follow the grade, and it's really.
That's the new definition of height, right? That talks to the new definition of building height.
But I think what Stu's getting at is if it's not that steep, then is it required?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
The only thing I'm positive with this one is this one compatible with all. Type of design styles. Like the stepping, like, does that work for like?
That's exactly the point I'm saying as well, because like if the change in grade from the backside is. The front side of the slope is only like 5 to 10 feet. Why would I terrace the building and then
Yeah,
down the slope?
yeah.
When I can make a modern structure. Contextually appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just like, frankly, there's a lot of really nice constructions that's generally like
Box
box.
on a hillside.
I mean, it's-
As long as you don't exceed the building height with the new definition.
Well, it's more than that. It's more than that. But with the slope for lots 15% or more slope, do you think?
Oh, the
Or-
addition to this.
15%.
Oh, 10%?
I mean, it's hard to like,
It's hard to what, bike up.
I always relate grade by how, if I can get.
Should we do 10%? Should we do 10?
Do we have anything listed
Huh?
currently?
15? Keep 15? Okay, 15. For lots, 15% in slope or steeper.
I like that.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
why it won't apply? Only height will apply like Bernie said.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 2. Prohibit buildings with an extension built over a slope supported on stilts higher than 10 feet. You okay with that?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Stilts.
Number 3, daylight plane. Daylight plane shall be established on 2 opposite
No,
sides.
I'm sorry to slow you down, but stilt over stilts. I thought, isn't there another standard that relates to the stilts enclosing the stilts?
Yeah, unused space underneath buildings, that one.
Yeah. What is
Yeah,
that?
I think that one's been replaced by this one.
And nobody's gonna get away with building those.
Nobody's what?
The most famous still building. Le Corbusier is called.
Well, Go to figure. Oh, we have a
Can you
figure.
go to, can you change your figures too on the screen?
I
Please?
don't have a figure for this one, but I can't think of it. Let's see. It's go up, this is one right here, 8. Figure 6, I'll have figure 6, so it's basically this thing on stilts. So still aren't that great.
No,
Huh?
But they're a fire hazard.
Yeah.
I figured.
I'm not gonna-
10 feet is appropriate.
Mm,
So
I-
they think,
I think 10 feet is tall.
you think what?
I think 10 feet is tall, and I think that it's attractive to consider enclosing that space and after the fact and using it.
So you think 6 feet? Do you think we should do 6 feet?
I think we should be lower than a livable ceiling height or an easily dug out livable ceiling height.
So like 8 feet?
Now I'm thinking 6 or less.
6, okay, let's do 6, that's like half a story.
yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
It's technically, so the 6 is.
Yeah, 6 seems right.
Yeah.
Alright, moving on. Daylight plane shall be established, so now daylight plane is required, it shall be established on 2 opposite sides of the house, either front or back or side to side. Daylight plane shall be measured from the setback line at existing grade, upward a vertical distance of 20 feet and then inward at 45, and it's only applicable on the midcoast, is not applicable to ADUs on the base side or other areas.
Yeah, like this one, is this one zoning or is this one like? Design? Like, it seems pretty like.
In the zoning, it's or. In SFT, it's daylight plane or facade articulation, but this is essentially a zoning amendment that makes it required. This was input from the CRC,
And it's only applying for our ratepayers.
yeah. Unless it's required by zoning, so let me think of what, I think it applies to zoning on the side too. But anyways, I'll check that, and then, building articulation, D1. Wall or, it's wall or facade, it's not and, cause I think our standards say and. So the difference is the wall is like an inside outside, facade is just like a window. So require wall or facade articulation for walls over 20 feet in length for ADUs and over 40 feet for houses. I wanna check the numbers on those with you guys. One articulation detail is required for every 20/40 feet of the wall length for each story, so above and below.
So this one and roof is where we get in trouble with. Sections. And wiring facade articulation. Yeah, I feel like it needs to be, and also I can make here, but facade articulation. Yeah.
Cause it's like you lose heat, so.
Yeah, because when you try to do advanced framing techniques and modular systems. Facade articulation doesn't lend itself to that. You're forcing a square peg in.
So, I mean, if you wanted to-
Prefab, Stuart?
Yeah, prefab or, yeah, some sort of modular system. I ran into it recently, we tried to do this advanced framing technique, but. You're basically balloon framing. The 2x6s and minimizing breaks in insulation. The course was taught by PGE.
Oh, in terms of energy efficiency as well?
Yeah.
I think the point of this though is that we don't have big square block boxes that
Yes.
don't have any windows.
Yeah.
And when we say facade articulation, we include windows. And I would say even with modern forms, you can put a window in. So,
and it's only one every 40 feet or one every 20 feet for ADUs.
so it doesn't mean you have to like literally cut a wall in or, it literally can be defined as a window. So put a window in.
Yeah, okay, oh, good, okay.
So how's this different from what it used to be? Did we used to require both wall and facade and now it's wall
Yes.
or facade?
Yes, and there wasn't any number associated,
20 or 40.
yeah.
I think this. Being Like, I think I would wanna require more facade articulation, sorry, stupid.
Versus
Well,
wall.
but because it includes a window, this is where, when I read this. I mean, I don't wanna look at 20 feet of a blank wall.
I agree, that's, I kind of agree too.
Well, no, he's saying that he wants 2 windows instead of 1 window over
Ah.
20 feet.
I was a wing.
I'm saying I don't think a window is good enough, I think it needs to be, sorry,
Facade articulation is with deck, bays, windows, or balcony.
or wall articulation,
Oh, you mean the inset or off,
that's,
but only every 20 feet, right?
Yeah.
That's what it says.
It does say that.
uh,
It says wall or facade.
20 feet for ADUs and every 40 feet for houses.
it says wall.
One or, oh, either or.
I would agree, 20 feet is.
So you're saying, so you wanna reduce it or you wanna add it?
I just want us to require
Oh,
an idea of a wall articulation, not,
Just a facade.
And maybe we just make it wall articulation and we cut it down. Maybe we don't make it facade articulation.
Only wall?
Because even if you're doing form follows function, no room is bigger than 20 feet. So
Right.
if you're articulating a room. It's going to be 2 feet. Pushing all that.
The wall is like structural where you have to move.
Yeah, 20 feet is.
Okay, so what you're saying is you wanna require wall and make facade articulation optional? Or just require more, or sorry, is what you're saying you want more wall articulation and
Don't
one
give
is
them-
fine for facade?
Facade.
I think the and was important.
Yeah.
I
And.
say wall and
Yes.
facade.
Okay,
40 feet with just windows.
okay, so you,
Yeah, sorry.
so do you just want one?
Well, this one is, why is this 20? No, this is more than 20.
It's probably.
It's 25 maybe, right?
Yeah.
And. Yeah, it's 25 full.
I think it's wall, it should be wall and facade articulation.
No, I think we're agreed there. Is 20 feet and 40 feet appropriate still, or should that be changed?
I think 20 feet is reasonable. Is that too short? Is that too quick?
Too long?
No.
40 feet.
Is
40
that
feet
too,
more
is
basic.
that? You want to make that longer?
You can have at least one break. And
So you wanna do 20, wall 20?
I think you could do 20 both, but you could do 10. I mean, I think 20 feet is really long articulation of not.
I would say 20 for facade. Articulation, maybe I'll give it the terms wrong. 20 for building, 10 for window.
10 for
20.
win-
Wall, 10 for facade.
Okay,
Yeah, and I think that could be
okay,
house and ADU.
And you think that would work with modular, Stuart?
Yeah,
okay, perfect. That's good.
if it helps us with this, so in on number 2, this one we have like a. Well, like the second sentence is, maybe utilizing non-practical skills and
Yeah,
whatever. Is that something that you consider for the first one? I just kind of understand why it's added to number 2.
this cake. But, there's no reason why it could, so for a modern, then you could say lesser articulation may be acceptable for a modern.
Yeah, something or other. I know it's not such a thing. At least,
In general, I don't feel like the modern style is represented enough in this document, either in the illustrations or in some of the standards,
Okay,
because they might not fall the same way. But if you start with the illustrations, presenting more modern options, I think it will help the interpretation of the standards.
yeah, we don't have an artist for this project, unless someone wants to volunteer their time.
Like a builder, so why not like
yeah, maybe
build modern?
builders know.
They can't draw anything.
If they're-
Maybe it's no can draw, but I mean, we're looking for modern style here.
Give me an email.
I thought a quick and dirty way around that might be to just show the outline of the structures and not the architectural details. Just do the roof line, you know, the outline, literally, and blank out the contents of the windows and the porch and the, unless you're talking about an example of window articulation. And that way the form could be interpreted as modern or any whatever.
I think, speaking of modern, I really don't understand too, in building articulation, prohibit designs where upper story walls overhang or cantilever out over lower story walls by more than 5 feet wide.
It's just awkward, top heavy.
It's
When
what?
you cantilever, it's awkward and it's top heavy. I mean. When you see that cantilever jutting out.
Really, it goes against the terracing, the building following the land, being of the land. It goes counter to that. And with the last sentence, larger wall overhangs or cantilevers may be utilized in a modern architectural design to provide a unified design. So if the building or the design is centered around a cantilever, and that basically is the design, then it may be accepted.
It's all, yeah. But I like, yeah, so we've added that to.
As long as it doesn't.
Well. Huh?
As long as it doesn't spill.
Oh, yeah.
What? One more time?
As long as it doesn't have stilts.
Oh, right.
And prohibit use of entry tower or singular protruding entry features. I don't want to figure 27. I don't think that's fair.
Look at the
That's a-
example.
That's what we have.
What is it?
27 is that way down. Yes.
We have
And then click on that one.
two-story entry.
So that's figure 31, so go back.
That's what I really disagree with. Like, I actually
next one down.
really disagree.
Down.
If you show me
Look at this.
words.
You like
What?
number, you have the one on the right?
Okay, I totally disagree that we tell people that they absolutely can't build the one on the right, because it's not that, I mean, that's totally stylistic subjective.
But you
That
can-
is like completely the definition of why people would be frustrated.
This is what people don't. People
Well,
don't want.
no. Some people don't want that. Some people do, well, because you're using that one architectural feature to say McMansion, and I can tell you, there's a house on Magellan that has exactly that architectural feature on the right. It has exactly that. And it doesn't look bad. It fits with the style of the home. It's a 6,000 square foot home.
It emphasizes the
I'm just-
versatility. It makes it not like pedestrian friendly. It looks like out of scale to the street. 1, 2, it emphasizes the verticality. So something that wasn't looking all that tall now looks quite tall.
But you're
The way-
showing it on this single story house.
The way I'm looking at all these two. This is when people, this is our like, if the project doesn't come to us,
Yeah.
this is when it has to stick to. If it comes to us and they have that feature, I'm happy to review
That's true.
and make it work. But if we don't have oversight on a project, this is how the lens I'm looking through all of these. Is this catching what the worst case?
I would
And
agree
I
that it's
think-
a poor illustration.
I think it does.
I agree. It's a poor illustration. The do this is really poor design. I mean, you're showing something that you talk about later not to do, keep the windows all the same style. And
Well,
so if you took the house, the not this, and put that in the do this section without the entry,
I mean,
Then
like,
you'd have your point, and then do, the not this example, same house with the entry. Just don't do that entry on a house like this.
that's like a house. express.
What? I'm not hearing anything.
April doesn't agree with this up the standard at all.
In general, just like don't comment on the scale of the entry. Is that what I'm hearing?
I think architecturally, if it fits the style of the home, if it's an architectural feature and it blends with the style of the home, the architect should be able to just, basically have.
There's an exception process, I'll remind you. But, like for those craftsmen where you have like the really long, porch, but
Yes.
the verticality is more wide than it is tall.
Yeah.
And it just kind of like puts the whole thing in balance. That kind of entry is wonderful and grand, but in a way that's like.
I understand, but again, I think we already have tried to build a million coastal craftsmen. It's more about like, if the style of the home that's being built benefits from having some kind of grand entry, because architecturally it benefits.
It's very hard for staff though, like from a checklist perspective to say, like this is truly a grand thing. We're not like considering style. We're not.
It's really about breaking up the mass because the problem with this illustration is that this should be higher. The thing they're trying to illustrate not to do is that this is higher and this is a 2-story entry glass. Where if that was the case, you would want this, and this actually should be aligned over the entry where you can break up and still have the same thing. You have a 2-story entry foyer with glass, only the mass is broken.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I think I will walk up the street and take a picture of the home that has this exactly on my street. Because it really looks good. I mean, and if you took it off of the house, it would look
I
bad.
think the irony on the coast is it's usually the opposite case.
Yeah.
It's where we don't have. We have like a garage. That's like.
That's what I feel. I feel like the garage.
Example.
is-
Probably not gonna happen too much. It's more,
Yeah.
where the entrance is like a side door.
Okay, so here's what I did.
Yeah, I think this drawing doesn't really express this point clearly.
Okay, I think we're taking on all the illustrations. Stu might volunteer to do with that, but as far as this standard, is April the only one with the problem on this standard? Because otherwise, like, it sounds like we're okay with keeping it in, especially for projects that don't go to the.
What April is suggesting is that there are some architectural details, and there's a section on this that are important, they stand out, they need to be compatible with the architectural style of the rest of the structure, and I think there's a section for that. I think this illustration can clearly articulate the point that we're trying to make here and not negate having architectural details that might include a grand entry as long as it works with the rest of the structure.
Staff know whether it works or doesn't work. That makes sense. We don't have an architectural.
Okay, but here's what I'm saying. I'm saying, I still think the way that you write it, prohibit use of entry towers or singular protruding entry features. First of all, I've seen a lot of homes with very nice singular protruding entry features. where you
No,
step
with roof ceiling heights that are more than half the height of the
I
ceiling.
think this is like the anti.
So it's like you can have a protruding feature, it just can't be like a stroke.
But if it's the architecture, and in fact, I will take a picture of the home on my street, and it definitely is half the height of the second story.
There's an exception process for the good ones, but for the bad ones, they'll read it out.
But I have not seen one bad home of that on this entire. list.
Brentwood.
Brentwood.
This is the anti-tracing.
Yeah, there probably are a few bad examples. I don't know. We'd have to go around and photograph them all, but yeah.
Okay, we're going at 4 o'clock. I was really hoping to have some like unanimous decision about.
Now, gotta have
I
another.
would love to keep it. Go she. Keep her throw away.
have to have
Yeah,
another-
she says it's good.
That's more good than that.
Yeah, anyway, okay, we'll pick up at F1 next time. Thank you all.
Real picture of what it is that this is so bad. I'll see.
We will. Okay,
What?
so
I'm picturing the the trustee. The row was.
You didn't watch MTV Cribs?
Oh, no, I'm also in New Jersey. That's a good example. It's fantastic.
Okay, we are adjourning this meeting. Thank you very much. We will let you know when we reschedule a continuation of this review. Thank you.
When the sun.
Thank you, Camille. Thank you, everyone.
Bye bye bye.
Yeah.
Just.
Very much.
That's.
Wait, this is literally my